Now, yellow dock root is an herb that is really native to Europe and Africa, but it's really common in the US and many regions because it kind of takes over like a weed. As a matter of fact, yellow dock root is being eradicated and considered a noxious weed up in Utah, which is so crazy because it's such a wonderful, wonderful herb. It is luckily really readily available and very, very inexpensive. It likes full sun and it thrives wherever iron is present. That's why up in the mountains and hills of Utah, there's a lot of iron and yellow present in the dirt, and that plant really, really loves it. It can grow in poor soil, but it definitely takes over a garden for sure. We went to dig up the roots of it and wildcraft it one day, and we should have brought an axe because those roots are so tough. We were standing on the shovel. As a matter of fact, we broke the shovel trying to get it. And so, word to the wise, when you go dig it up, just dig portion of the roots on one side, and you won't kill the plant, because the plant, if you leave one little piece of root, it will proliferate and take over again next year. And so they're really beautiful plants. They have this coppery orange kind of look to the flowers. They kind of go dormant in spring and fall, and so that's the best time to harvest the roots. They're very, very yellow, and oftentimes they were used as a dye by Native Americans. In fact, they're still used as a dye. The root kind of smells like dirt, and it's a little bit pungent, but the taste of it, when I show you how to make it, one of our favorite formulas is a decoction that we make. And the taste of it is very, very pungent, I guess, and bitter. And it's one of the hardest herbs to palate, but it's hard to take it in a capsule because it doesn't work as well and absorb as well. And so we'll talk more about that later. The history of yellow dock is a long history. It's been used for many, many years. They use it for scurvy and to help support immune system. It's been used by the ancients for any kind of skin problem. But you know, skin problems, it makes sense that yellow dock would be great for skin, because yellow dock has that iron component that it makes for a very rich, wonderful blood, and actually helps support the liver. And so whenever you have skin problems, you always know you have liver problems because the toxins go out the skin rather than being able to be processed throughout the liver. So that's my take on it. Whenever I see anybody with skin problems, I know that maybe they ought to look at what condition their liver is in, or maybe just support their liver. The young leaves of yellow dock can be eaten like spinach, even though I have never done it. Because I'm never there when there's young leaves. I'm only getting it when it's harvest time, when I really want the roots. So I'll have to remember to do that. But you'll have to tell me how it tastes if you eat yellow dock leaves. Since the Middle Ages, they have used it for skin disorders, the yellow dock, and also respiratory issues, symptoms associated with respiratory problems. Maybe it's so wonderful for lungs is because it has kind of a laxative type component to it. And the Chinese believe that your colon is considered a third lung. So if you're having lung or respiratory issues, you might look at what's happening in your colon. You might be constipated or have some, plaque in there or mucus that's like causing issues going on. So it is said that it is that the leaves can be used on nettle stings. Stinging nettle is a wonderful plant that we love for nutritional values. But also it has those stinging little needles in it, and so they say that yellow dock root, the leaves of it, of the yellow dock, can be rubbed on that and to relieve the stinging of nettle. I don't live around any place where there's stinging nettle, so I have not tried that. But any of you who do, tell me all about it, because I'd love to see if that folk remedy really, really works. The Native Americans would crush the leaves and use them for poultices, for boils. They would pound the root and compress it and use it as a compress for wounds and for cuts topically. So you can make a really strong decoction or tea out of it and use it topically for anything that you want to heal up really quickly. About the turn of the 20th century, American eclectic physicians used it for purifying the blood, rejuvenating the liver, for chronic enlarged lymph nodes and glands, the symptoms associated with that. They used it for skin issues, and it's used a lot in making ointments for topical things, especially for itching. It's supposed to be wonderful for itching, and we will make a salve out of that coming up because we really want to try it for itching. I have never used it topically except in a decoction or a tea. So ointments and salves really do make sense for this. It's used also for chafed skin in infants and even swelling. It's used to heal scabs and skin. Also, the bitter component is really strong in yellow dock, and so you know that it will help your body with upset stomachs and things like that. It has a mild laxative, but not that much, just enough to be able to push toxins through. It was used in the olden days for dysentery and also for bowel inflammation. And so it really does help with, it has that bitter component that every bitter herb is just really good for digestion and really good for intestinal health. It also is used for different types of symptoms associated with arthritis. We have noticed that people with arthritis or rheumatism type symptoms, it lessens it when they ingest the yellow dock decoction that we're going to show you how to make. It also is really super high in vitamin C, and so when you cook the leaves, it's something that was used to help people not acquire scurvy in the olden days. And the thing that heals scurvy is vitamin C. And so since these leaves are so high in vitamin C, that it just really is one of those great plants. In rural Appalachia, it's still used to help with the symptoms associated with hives and ringworm topically. Really cool, really great, simple herb to use topically for those things. It's very much a nutritive plant, so full of nutrients. It has so many components to it, but it's really, really high in vitamin A. I remember my mom had a lot of skin problems and a lot of skin issues, and she took lots and lots of vitamin A when I was a kid, and it really helped her with her skin issues. And so that's why you would know any plant that is really high in vitamin A really supports the liver and is really great for beautiful skin. Also, vitamin C, really amazing for immune function. We know the studies associated with Linus Pauling and all of his information on vitamin C and how it's just so incredible for the body. But this is a really great source that's in a plant source that the body recognizes. It's really wonderful. And it's unmatched for its iron level. I mean, and usable iron level that doesn't make you constipated like synthetic irons could. Some people have bad reactions to those. And quite frankly, it just takes a long time to get your iron levels up to normal level with synthetics. The body doesn't recognize it. When I was training to be a midwife, we had a lot of experiences with women who had low iron levels. It just is chronic in America right now. And so what we did was we would always try to give them herbs to help them to raise their iron. And I found this book. It's called Polly Block's Birth Book. And it is so great. And it has this incredible decoction formula for helping with pregnant women for iron. And so we make it up, we call it the iron formula, and it's just like $1.50 worth of herbs, and you just mix it up on your stove and cook it, and then you eat it every day. And we saw the biggest change in women who really had their iron levels so low that maybe they shouldn't have a home birth with a midwife, and so they were really wanting to be able to raise their iron levels, not only for the fact that it makes for an easier birth and a stronger mama, but a stronger baby, and the body tends to not bleed so much when the iron levels are higher. So that's a great thing for women. And we saw women with iron levels that were so low, and then they would go so high in 2 or 3 weeks if they would just get on the yellow dock decoction and just eat it. It is the most excellent source for iron, and I've seen people who have gone through really tough stuff like chemotherapy and lots of surgeries and stuff like that, where or even bad menstrual cycles where you're bleeding a lot, women are bleeding and going through, and there's lots of blood, even hemorrhoids or internal bleeding, intestinal bleeding. People have a lot of these things going on, or even surgeries where there's loss of blood. This is a great way to help your body rebuild. We have just seen people who have a hard time getting their iron level up just have it go up and feel really, really great about it and start to have their body feel healthy again. So it has a lot of manganese in it and potassium. It's got a lot of trace minerals. Yellow dock root can help the body handle toxins that come through the body, that anytime you want to support your liver, or you're really exposed, or you feel like your liver really needs some loving and some help and nourishment, we see the biggest difference with people who really dig in and take yellow dock. It's an amazing thing for those that have some, low blood, or what they used to call kind of like poor blood. It's used as a diuretic. The fresh leaves are very, very astringent, but also the roots tend to be astringent too. It's full of oxalates that can help the body handle excessive bleeding, and it kind of helps the body normalize that. Anything to do with healthy blood, that's what the yellow dock root is great for. It has a cleansing component to it that helps cleanse it inside and out. It's great for being able to move through old toxins, old things that really have accumulated over a long period of time. It helps induce toxin elimination throughout the body, and can tone the body and kind of just help it eliminate impurities and help it be more willing to release impurities. I believe that impurities in the body oftentimes get stuck because the body isn't strong enough to be able to filter them out. So when there's toxins in the body that no matter what you're doing, it's hard to get them to move, support your liver with lots of greens and lots of green food that have chlorophyll in it, but also yellow dock is one of those herbs that can support the liver when it is kind of congested and really just needs a little bit of help and support. It is very astringent in the body. Yellow dock tends to be a little drying, so make sure you're drinking lots of water and taking your nutritional oils like coconut oil or flaxseed or hemp oil or fish oil, any kind of oils that are really great for the body, extra virgin olive oil. Make sure when you're taking this plant, because it's so astringent, if you tend to be a little dry anyway, your body will feel a little bit more dry. So take water into your body and lots of oils for sure into your body with it. It just supports it and helps yellow dock do its job. It's one of those things that is used to help lessen the look of varicose veins or even hemorrhoid type symptoms. It's been used to help the body dissolve and eliminate mucus, move it out kind of through the body, but also move out. Some people have mucus that it is in areas where it needs to be filtered through the kidneys, and this is an herb that kind of helps with that. It is very nourishing to the eyes because, it has all the vitamin A in it, and we know vitamin A is known to help assist with healthy eyes. This is a great, great herb for that. Anytime you have liver issues, they are reflected in the eyes. When people get yellow eyes or even graying eyes or even red eyes, the liver, something's going on with the liver. You kind of see that when you drink alcohol. If people drink alcohol and then they'll get red eyes, it's because their liver is really struggling to keep up with filtering all of that. So liver and eyes are connected, and this herb seems to be great for both of those. It's really helpful for rashes and eruptions and symptoms associated with acne and even itching. Itching is a big thing that yellow dock helps with. We talked a little bit about digestion, but it seems to be more of a bowel balancer. Rather than, it's not really a laxative type. It's not something that you would take like Cascara sagrada or senna or aloe. Those are real laxative type ones. This is more gentle. It can help with constipation and diarrhea. Actually, it's kind of like that slippery elm bark, it helps with constipation and diarrhea, and it helps to kind of balance it out and level it all out. It can help perk up an appetite for someone who doesn't have an appetite, and it also helps with the symptoms associated with ulcers in the body, and can help the body increase the bile flow. And sometimes our bile duct gets like clogged or stuck, and any herb that kind of helps with that is really wonderful for helping to move toxins through the body. It can help the body to handle symptoms associated with glandular problems or cells going awry in that area. It helps to strengthen the body's immune system through its own mechanism. By supporting the liver and by helping the blood be healthy, the immune system seems to respond really, really well. And it also is great for parasites and worms, and we're going to talk a lot about that. And it's a plague, I think, that has just kind of taken over the modern world, and so any herb that kills parasites and worms is wonderful. Great for digestive issues, because sometimes digestive issues are caused by parasites or worms or even bacteria going awry, and so anything that helps with that helps your stomach issues, and then some of those little freeloader critters go away. So it can be used for people that have a delicate stomach, but they need to use it a little bits at a time. It also is one of those rare herbs that is really recommended during pregnancy. It's recommended in all the old books for pregnancy because it's so rich in iron and just helps the mama have so much really super great minerals and nutrients in her blood, and so helps, of course, the baby. When you are eating yellow dock, it's said that you shouldn't take things like black tea and coffee because they inhibit the absorption of iron. So some caffeine, so it's not just coffee and black tea, but it's also other caffeine type drinks. I'm not talking about like mate or maybe green tea. I'm talking about colas or anything else, or energy drinks that might have some synthetic caffeine in it. It inhibits the absorption of iron tonics in the body. So you should, if you want your iron to increase and get your body up to natural speed, so it has that natural energy that you want or that you had as a kid, then avoid using those and start taking herbs that are really great for iron in the body, like yellow dock, and dandelion is another one we'll talk about. So they talk about with eating the leaves. Now, I've never eaten the leaves, but they say don't eat a lot of it because it can cause kind of a poisoning and make you sick to your stomach. They have reports of sheep that have grazed into it and have gotten really sick, and so that's one caution that you might be aware of. Yellow dock root has become one of our friends because it's one of those herbs that is in our top, well, of course, 40 herbs, but it is really up there because it is something that, boy, if you are not a believer in herbs, if you really take yellow dock in a decoction form, you notice a difference. I haven't seen anyone that did not notice a difference. Anybody. In any walk of life or health condition, they seem to notice a big difference. I had recommended it to a friend of mine who had been on medications for 30 years. She had for pain and issues, and it was every time associated with her menstruation. And she was just this really incredible woman that I wanted to help because she did so much for other people. So she came to talk to me about her medicine that wasn't working, and if there were herbs to help her. See, her husband's a doctor, and she found that over time she increased her medicines, but they weren't doing as much. And so what happened was one of the things that she started doing was taking the yellow dock decoction that I'm going to tell you how to make. And she started taking it, and normally you would take a tablespoon or two a day. This is a very, very pungent formula. And so I was talking to my friend, I ran into her about 6 months later, and I said, how are you doing? How are you feeling? She goes, everything's great. My medicine's working again, and I feel stronger and better. And she got into all the herb thing that really kind of became a little herby, and she said, but you know, I got to get back to making that yellow dock formula every day. And when you make the yellow dock formula, you get a whole cup of it. And normally you only take a tablespoon or two a day. But this cute little lady lady had been taking the whole cup every day for about 4 or 5 months, and it changed her life. She just said, it was incredible. My body just ate it up. So doesn't look like you can overdose on yellow duck decoction for a cup a day. And anybody who's brave enough to drink that much deserves the help that they get from it. They deserve it, all those nutrients, because man, this is one of the nastiest tasting herbs. And it doesn't really work that well in capsules, and so the decoction is the way to go. So here it goes. This is how you make your decoction. You're going to take a quart jar, and you're going to take 2 ounces of cut yellow dock root. It's chopped up in little squares. Cut yellow dock root, you're going to put it in the bottom of the quart jar, and then you're going to fill the quart jar with boiling water. So just fill the quart jar, and then you're going to cap it, and you're going to let it sit on your counter overnight, or at least 8 hours. Then you're going to take those herbs, and you're going to have softened up all of those really, really hard roots. You're going to put it in a stainless steel or a Pyrex type pan that you can fit on the stove, and you take the roots that have swollen up with water and the rest of the water in there, and you put it into your pan and you cook it down. So you've got almost 4 cups of liquid there. So you're going to cook it down all the way down to 1 cup. I have burned up hundreds and hundreds of batches of this on my stove, and then one of my smart friends finally figured out that it was, in our area, it's about 26 or 27 minutes where it cooks down to 1 cup. And you're going to cook it down, simmer it on low for about 25, 26 minutes. But if you're up high in the mountains, it may be different. If you're at sea level, it may be different. So check your boiling points there. And you just want to turn it as low as you can, really keep an eye on it, stir it once in a while. Then you're going to shut it off when you think it's gotten down to about 1 cup. And it's kind of an estimate. This doesn't have to be exactly. So what I do is I will take it and pour it through a strainer. Sometimes I will just let it sit and cool down. Pour it through a strainer, and then you will squeeze all of, even you can press it with a spoon or just squeeze all of the goodness out of those roots. Then you take the reserve, the liquid, and you add, the recipe calls for a couple tablespoons of honey and a couple tablespoons of brandy, but I ditched the brandy, put the honey in. It still doesn't make it taste better, the honey, but I think maybe the honey really does help it absorb into the system better for some reason. So that's our yellow duck formula. You take that cup of it, you put it in the fridge, you take 1 to 2 tablespoons a day, or the whole cup if you want to, and see what happens. So what I'd love for you to do is to make this yellow duck decoction. Make this formula and try it. If you're an herbalist and this is one of the most powerful formulas that I've ever used, just because there's so many formulas out there that are to help you raise your iron levels, and I've never seen it work well except for this little $1.50 solution to a really big problem. So make your decoction, try it, take it, see how it tastes, see how it smells. You can take that same decoction and put it on your skin, any skin issues. Decoction is different than a tincture. A decoction is like a really super strong tea that you use mostly you make decoctions with roots or really tough plants that have a hard time, you just can't make teas out of them because they don't really release their nutrients as well with just teas. And so that's where decoctions come in, for really tough plants. This is a great formula and a great herb. I love it. It is something that every family should know about it, because this is a really good answer to many of the different issues. I mean, if you think about it, it's from your eyes to your liver to your skin, to helping with nutrients, to helping mamas, to helping people who've gone through horrible illnesses or even gone through surgeries where they have lost blood and they need to help their body repair fast. This is the herb for that. We love yellow dock, and we know you will love it too.